Mercury program introduced by NASA in the late 1950s was, in my opinion, the most incredible, hilarious, important, and embarrassing time in space history. The launch abort system, which we were going to talk about, is the beacon of human spaceflight and also the reminder of how embarrassing NASA must have felt during the vintage time of space. How is this even possible? That answer coming up on the next Vintage Retrospekt. Hello, I am Chad, and welcome to part 2 of Mercury Madness. Now, before we jump into the fun here, we need to explain what the launch abort or launch escape towers do. These are rockets mounted on top of the crew capsule that, once activated, miniature solid booster nozzles blast a huge amount of thrust, carrying the space capsule up and sideways, then to the side, pulling the craft away from the exploding rocket. These have been used in Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, Soyuz, Shenzhou, and just recently, the Orion spacecraft, which is set to get us back to the moon in the next few years. So what was funny about the launch escape system? As we just showed earlier when the parachute pooped out of the capsule, the embarrassing escape tower malfunction was a result of a pair of electrical connectors located on the Redstone rocket's fins, which disconnected at launch in the reverse order. This reverse order was configured for the Redstone missile version of the rocket. However, the crew-rated version failed to make a short enough cable. This connector was only supposed to disconnect until the liftoff occurred. Now, because of the engine shutdown, the rocket is programmed to fire the escape system, which of course disconnects the spacecraft portion from the rocket and also trigger the drogue parachutes just a few seconds later. If you're still a bit confused here as to why the abort system failed, I will down in the description link the 454-page Mercury project summary. Want to know another embarrassing moment in the Mercury space program? Monkeys! Yes, monkeys replaced the crew in flight testing. The Mercury 7 all agreed that this was a terrible idea and it undermined the skills and reputation of their test pilot status. Mercury astronaut Gus Grissom was furious. He claimed that NASA was going to send a man to space to do monkeys' work and also thought the entire crew was attributed to a bunch of college-trained chimpanzees. He riled up the crew to set the record straight that we are all pilots and we need to start taking control. Oh, here is something super crazy about the launch escape system. The Soviets copied this design and it ended up saving 2 cosmonauts from a launch failure that occurred in 1983. If you stuck with me this far, you may be still wondering about the history of the launch abort system and who was responsible for inventing it. Well, it was a concept derived in 1958 by the Chief of Flight Systems and main designer, Max Faze. It was actually that simple. His boss asked what we were going to do if the Atlas explodes on the way up. And the rest was history. I think we've had enough embarrassing fun for the day. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to know about the Mercury program. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so that people who think launch escape systems are inflatable slides used on airplanes are presented with a more accurate solution to potential launch failures. I am your host, Chad, and I will see you out on the launch pad.